Hello, everyone. Greetings. Hope everyone is having a good day. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's get right into this right here. How some women ruin good relationships with men. And I'm talking about intimate relationships. Let's get right into it. Human behavior is a mystery. It's very mysterious. And people are complicated. That's a fact. So there's no exact formula that exists that applies to every relationship or every union or every situation where you have two people who are paired up and are in a relationship. One formula does not apply to everyone. That's why you have phenomena. You have a multitude of ways to solve issues, to solve problems. Relationships are fluid. This is not a one type of one solution fix every problem type of scenario. It's not that. It's a lot more complicated than that. But you have certain women, and I know there are great women out here, just like there are great men. There are good people and great people who are out here. Let's get that out of the way. I'm talking about the women who decide to ignore fundamental issues that are presented to them, fundamental issues that are affecting your relationship with your partner. Not only ignoring those fundamental issues, but also ignoring the role that you play in those fundamental issues. But you still have expectations from your partner, of your partner, to fulfill because you believe that you're doing everything right and your partner is doing everything wrong. That is a conflict. That is a problem. That is something that will not bring you resolution. It will create imbalance. Because if you're in a relationship, it takes two. It takes two people to be, at least two people to be in a relationship. So both of you, both halves have a say. Both halves, I would say, is fair to say. Is it fair to say that they should equally share the responsibility in working to make the relationship last? But when you have the woman who is constantly telling the man what he's not doing, when you have the woman who's constantly criticizing the man in whatever it is, and negatively criticizing, by the way, in what he's not doing, when you're constantly bringing up issues to this man about what he can do better, about what he used to do and is no longer doing anymore, about how things should be, And this is a person and on his side, well, no, I'm not even going to talk about from the male perspective. When you're constantly pointing fingers and you're doing nothing, as far as, you know how, I don't know if you all heard this before, but I've heard this growing up. Be careful when you point fingers, because you can point one finger and three will be pointed back at you. It's easy to judge other people, but you can be judged as well. So if you feel unhappy, if you feel unfulfilled as a woman, right? I'm just sharing. There are ways you can address these issues without being insulting, without emasculating your man, without creating arguments, without standing or judging and criticizing and absolving yourself of any and all responsibility. In fact, you don't only absolve yourself of what you're not, of your flaws. You're speaking about the good that you're doing only. You're only adding, it's almost like you're adding fuel to a fire. If all you're telling someone is, this is what they're not doing, and you can't talk about me because look at the good that I'm doing, and that's all you're saying. Meanwhile, you also have issues because, again, there are two sides to the story, and then you have the truth. You have one side, her side, his side, and you have the truth. The same way you can judge someone is the same way you have to look at yourself. You have to take time to reflect on what it is that you're doing that's adversely affecting the relationship, or what is it that you're not doing. How are you contributing to improving this, or what is it that you're contributing to cause the imbalance? And that's why, and then the communication comes in, right? Communication is so key. When people say, communication is so important in a relationship, it does. It holds a lot of merit, because oftentimes people will engage in passive aggressive behavior, to where a person doesn't want to directly confront their partner. But there's an issue there because you're behaving in ways, you're giving the silent treatment. You're not picking up phone calls, or you're behaving in ways where you're ignoring someone, or if you live together, you're slamming doors around the house. There's indicators that show that you're upset, but you're not being direct with your partner. So your partners, all they're left to do is read your body language, and if they have that skill, to also read your mind, to figure out what's wrong. Communication is important. It's important. I had someone tell me recently that I like to argue. That I prefer, like when I'm making videos, I'm arguing. I'm arguing with a wall. Arguing with a wall. Okay. Instead of going back and responding to that, what I chose to do, continue to make videos. Because these videos are not my way of arguing with people. This is not about arguing. If I have to argue with someone, at least let there be another person there for me to argue. I'm not arguing with anyone if I'm making a video. So that held no basis at all. I'm presenting information and sharing thoughts and ideas that can hopefully help someone. I'm presenting information based on experience, based on observation, based on life. And sharing it to hopefully benefit someone else. But to keep this in a pretty concise type of way, sometimes you have to take a look at what it is you're doing. As a woman, I think it's important for women who struggle in relationships and keeping, a working relationship. You have to really accept your role. Just like the man who you're criticizing has to accept his role, you have to accept your role too. You have to accept what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're not doing, what you can improve, what you can modify, what you have to work on. These are things that are just not set in stone. It's constant work in progress. Constant work in progress. You're talking about constant development, evolution, growth, cultivation. You're learning, awareness. You're realizing more and more and more about yourself. You change every day. Our bodies change every day. So these are times and moments where instead of looking at these challenges as obstacles that seem like they're impenetrable because you feel like you're doing everything right and the other person is doing everything wrong, which is impossible. Allow these moments to build, to take a time out to build your character, to improve something. But if you feel like there's nothing for you to improve, you'll find yourself constantly dealing with volatile relationships. You won't be able to keep a man long term unless if the man isn't worth anything much, that's what you'll have. But when you have a person who's committed to you, a person who's established, successful in whatever that success means, they're not harming anyone in society, right? If you're living in the U.S., they pay their taxes. They're law-abiding citizens. Good people, generally overall good men who are just trying to just succeed in life and live and live a joyous, healthy, fruitful life. But you keep tearing them down. You're tearing these men down. But then you have irresponsible men who are reckless, ignorant, who live in ways that are completely selfish. You will dote on them. You women who judge the good men will actually be attracted to these so-called bad guys or these men who live off of other people. These men who, choose to be irresponsible, choose to be indifferent, choose to be selfish, choose to be greedy, choose to only think about themselves and their needs. Self-gratification is their mantra. You women who criticize the good men rather chase bums. You rather chase the man who abuses you. You rather chase men who take advantage of you. You rather chase men who manipulate you and give them a pass. You rather chase the felon, the constant. When you look up the word recidivism, you'll see some of the pictures of these guys in the dictionary. Because that's how often they're in and out of the penal system. I'm not judging folks who are impacted by the criminal justice system, but and who've actually chosen willfully chosen to turn their lives around for the better. That's not who I'm targeting here. I'm talking about the men who constantly are in and out of the jails, in the streets, decides to commit illegal activities, right? And don't care anything about you women who are doting on them, who are worshiping them, who are running after them, who are basically trying to do whatever it is to put yourself second and keep them first and raise them on a pedestal. You praise a bum over taking care of a man or over appreciating a good man. Some of you women are doing that right now and will continue to do that. You won't admit it, but it's the truth. I see it all the time. I see it all of the time. There's no denying that. None whatsoever. So it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all. But then when you meet a man, excuse me, who's productive, established, let's just say that, and who can see through the nonsense, because many times the women who are so critical and judgmental and are not really taking an inventory of what they need and what they lack to build themselves up. You're not looking at the flaws that you have, your weaknesses. You're not looking at how you can strengthen your weaknesses. Those of you who behave in a way where you constantly break down the good men, and you finally meet a man who's established, who really doesn't have the time to waste on non-productive activities, people who are just aimless. It's not that he's better than anyone else. It's because he has goals and plans, and it's things that he needs to do that he has to concentrate and focus on. All the other excess, if these activities and these people who are around this established person are not providing some form of value, are not providing some sort of positive support and inspiration and things of that nature, then he has no need to be around. I mean, it's just simple common sense. He has no need to keep, quote unquote, dead weight around. I mean, who's doing that? What? But you'll criticize him. You'll criticize him and say he's just too cold or unloving, non-supportive. No. You probably feel less than because you're not providing something of equal value. What are you bringing to the table? What is it that you're bringing to the table? What is it that you're bringing to the table? What can you offer? That's of a positive nature, that's long lasting, that can bring you both on an equal level where you can create something great. What is it that you're bringing to the table? If you find yourself not being able to bring something to the table and you feel bad, don't internalize that to the point where it just destroys you and eats you up. And now, because you feel bad, you want to attack something good that you have and push that away, because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. The good man that you have, that's there, that's really present, not like these absentee fathers, not like these, absentee irresponsible men. You have someone good, but then you're going to ruin that. You're going to ruin that because you place these unrealistic expectations from wherever, from what you wish you had and you don't have because you lack so much. Now, everyone lacks. Everyone. Even this good guy that I'm talking about, you think he's not dealing with struggles? He's worked so hard to get to what he has. Just like a positive woman. But now I'm talking about from the perspective of women who criticize good men. Everyone has a struggle. But it's about changing your mindset to overcome these problems. Now, if you're going to stay in a state where if you're going to remain in a state where you just want to be taken care of, you want to criticize men, you want to do next to nothing to improve your well-being, that's on you. That's on you. But don't judge people, because you can easily be judged too. Easily. Especially when you have something good. People don't know what they have until they lose it. You just don't know the value of the good you have until you lose it. It is what it is. Let me hear some of your thoughts on this. Let me hear some of your thoughts. Leave a comment. Like my channel or like the video if you want. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification button. That way, anytime I upload new content, you'll be the first to know and you can watch my material. But I'm interested to hear what the people have to say. So leave a comment. Please feel free. Leave a comment. All right? Take it easy. Be well. And I'll talk to you later.